perfect lesson in how to go about taking advantage of them. So Fisher in this game is going to show you how to take advantage of weak pawns. So the first thing he does is he starts attacking them, and black has to catch up in his development because look how far behind he is in development. So it brings his bishop out here, and this is a very clever move. Queen to a4 check. What Fisher expected to happen, he expected the bishop to go there, and then we'd bring this queen here, and again, it's a blockade. You see how the queen is safely hiding behind black's pawn. That's what Fisher expected to happen. But Petrosian played a very surprising move. He blocked with his queen, and now Fisher could win material here. Do you see, how can Fisher give up this bishop and win that rook? Can you see how he could do that? It involves a pin. A couple of pins, actually. What move could Fisher play that would wind up giving up this bishop and winning that rook? And he doesn't do it. He doesn't want to win the material, but he could have. Well, can this bishop pin that? Look at the lineup of the queen and the king. Is there some way that you could pin the queen to the king with your bishop? Avni?
Bishop to f5.
No, because on bishop to f5, the queen could take your queen and get out of the pen. There's another square that the bishop can attack the black queen from. What's the other square? b5. Now, of course, well, the bishop's either going to win the queen, or you have to capture the bishop, and now Fisher would have won the rook. So a lot of players, probably myself too, I might have done it myself, would say, woo, I'm winning. I got a 5 and I only gave up a 3 1/4, but that would be very dangerous because black would then castle his king, and then he would play bishop here, and then he would push this pawn, and all of a sudden, Fisher's queen is out of place, his king is being attacked. He thought it was too dangerous. Now maybe a computer would have played that and figured out how to survive the attack. But Bobby Fischer was a very good positional player, and as it turns out, this rook never moves in the whole game. At the end of the game, this rook's going to still be here, so why even bother capturing that rook? I mean, that rook does absolutely nothing. So he doesn't go in for the winning of material. Instead, he simply develops. He pins the bishop, the queen takes his queen, the knight goes there, the bishop goes here. You see how Fischer is just counting on developing his pieces. He figures, I got to be better here. Why should I try to win material and take chances and maybe black gets a strong attack against my king? He looks at the board and says, there's no need to do that. Maybe he could have done it, but he's better anyway. He's better anyway on account of the weak pawns. So why get fancy? And plus now he gets rid of this bishop. Which one of black's bishops is the good bishop and which is the bad bishop? Which one of these is the good and the bad? You think this is the good bishop? How about you, Afra? This is the good one. This bishop is like a big pawn. This is the good one. So this is another reason why Fischer did what he did, because he realizes that at the end of it all, black is left with a bad bishop. And he got rid of black's good bishop. So it's an additional reason why he did what he did. And now he's going to create an outpost. Remember what an outpost is? It's a square that no black pawn will be able to chase him away from, and is guarded by a white pawn. So he pushes that pawn forward, and you can tell where his knight's going to go. His knight's going to go to this very powerful square. You see? No black pawn here, no black pawn there that can chase the knight away. The knight is a very strong piece, and at this point the bishop retreats, and now Fischer wants to bring his king into the game. He wants to, because if he ever can get his king here, it's almost as good as the line where he would have had his queen there. The king would also be very strong in that square. Black doesn't let him do it, but he winds up with a bad position. So now look at these rooks. I mean, these rooks are guarding a pawn on the side of the board. Meanwhile, Fischer's two rooks, how many open files are there on the board right now? Remember, an open file has no pawns on it, so what are the two open files? No white pawn and no black pawn. What? E is one, the E file is one of them, and what's the other one? With no pawns. What other file has no black or white pawn on it?
C5.
C. So what's going to happen is pretty soon Fischer's going to have a rook on the C file, the rook on an E file, and black's rook's over here guarding a pawn. So he has a big advantage here in this position. And now his rook comes in, the bishop goes there, and now comes a very surprising move. In fact, see, back in the old days, now if you when they have a chess tournament, they have like streaming video. You can watch it at home on the internet, and in like a chat room kind of an area, there's a grandmaster explaining to the viewers at home what's going on. Right? Millions of people sometimes will watch if it's the World Championship, for example. Back in the old days, there was no internet, so what would happen, and I remember at some tournaments that I went to back in like the 1970s, where the top boards would be playing in a room with the door closed, and there would be a guy who would run back and forth from that room. Every time a move is made, they'd have a big board like this, a big demonstration board, even bigger than this, and a grandmaster would be lecturing the audience. Maybe only a couple of hundred people in the audience, not millions like they have on the internet. But when Bobby Fischer made this next move, the grandmaster said it's a mistake. He thought that Fischer had made a mistake because, in fact, Petrosian, the two Russians that had gone with Petrosian to the tournament, like coaches and trainers, they left the hotel and went to a bar and had a few drinks. They said, there's no way Petrosian's going to lose this game. Fischer just threw away the advantage. But actually, this is a very deep idea that Fischer played. He gave up a good knight for the bad bishop, but the reason why he did it for a very good reason, is now he gets control of the files. You see? You see how one rook on one open file, another rook on an open file. So he says, okay, I'm giving up a good knight for a bad bishop, that's true, but on the other hand, my rooks get the two open files. And it turned out to be the winning idea. But Fischer was way ahead of his time. Most of the grandmasters and the spectators thought it was a mistake. Why would he give up a good knight for a bad bishop? And as the author says, a slightly surprising decision, in that you would not ordinarily trade such a good knight for a bad bishop, but here the exchange enables Fischer to enter with his rooks into black's position. All right? It is really a question of trading in one advantage for another advantage. And so, in other words, he says, okay, I'm giving up the advantage of the good knight versus the bad bishop, but on the other hand, I get the advantage of the two rooks on the open files. So no, black's in a really bad way. This rook never even moves in the whole game. This rook does absolutely nothing. And here we go. See how the rooks, Fischer's rooks are entering into the position. This rook's attacked by the knight, so temporarily he has to retreat. And now the king is going to try to sneak into the game like this. And actually, I'm sorry, the king first goes here, and this pawn goes there. And now, when the king goes here, black realizes if that king ever gets to that square, he's in big trouble. So he pushes the pawn to keep the king out, but that opens up the diagonal for the bishop. So it turns out to be even worse than what would have happened if the king had gotten there. So now, the knight comes in like this, and Fischer brings his rook here. Look at these powerful rooks on the 7th rank. And now we have a knight fork. So it looks like, in fact, the knight is forking four things. This rook, this pawn, and this pawn. But he's totally lost, because what happens now, one rook gets away by checking the king. The other rook goes over here out of the way of the knight. And the knight captures his pawn, and now black has to resign the game, because there's no way he can avoid being checkmated. And one of the variations that they give here, even though Fischer's down a pawn, he's totally winning, because if you try to go here, see the threat is to go rook here, checkmate. And if the king comes over, because the bishop is guarding that square, it's looking to be checkmate. So the only possible move that he would have would be to bring the rook over like this, to stop the checkmate. But then you would have, excuse me here, let me see if I got this right. So it's, the bishop went there, the rook would go here, and this rook would come here to stop the checkmate, guarded by the knight, but it would still be a checkmate, because what would happen in this position is you would simply go bishop check. And when the king comes here, when the king comes here, you simply go bishop takes the rook. So you win the rook. And if the knight takes back, you win the knight. So he just gave up, and this rook never even moved in the whole game. Now look how powerful these rooks are. So Fischer's decision to give up the good knight for the bad bishop turned out to be the correct decision, because his rooks were able to get into the game and win the game for him. But that all happened on account of the weak pawns. This rook had to guard this weak pawn, this rook was guarding this weak pawn, and as the author says, this is a truly classic game, one worth studying and restudying. It shows the simplicity of transforming a good pawn structure into a victory. And the way that he did it is he took away all the mobility of black's pieces. This rook never moved at all. He had the bad bishop, and then his king was in a bad place at the end of the game. So, if you guys want to play now, right?